Hold on just a second. So I think I might, if I'm live, hang on everyone, because I got hacked. So I got to do a new password. Sorry, everyone, if that's the case. Um, Hopefully we're good. We might even be live. I don't know. I apologize if we are. So let me just try it one more time. It says we're live, but okay, we're good. All right, everyone. Sorry about that. I got hacked today. If someone does pop on, just throw me a hi, hello in the chat, so I know that we're going. But it says we're live, so I think we're good. Anyways, welcome Thursday night. Getting back to zero. Had a good week. We talked a lot about. We got into people that have relapsed and beating themselves up, and I was thinking I'm the guy that I will love and forgive anyone that has a relapse or an issue, because this is hard. This sobriety thing can be a bitch, but I would never give myself the same grace, I guess, or the same forgiveness. I am brutally hard on myself, but I would forgive others in a second for tripping up. It's, hey, you did yesterday, doesn't matter. Let's worry about today and let's get back at it. So that being said, we had Rachel on once before. She's our empath, which I didn't even know what that was, and highly sensitive person coach. And she's got a couple workshops coming up that we're going to talk about, but on self-love, acceptance, some of those kind of topics. Rachel, welcome to Back to Zero. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good. It's a Thursday. I just found out that Rachel, like me, is a boxer fan, half boxer fan, and she just is. Now, was that you got 1 year today anniversary? Was the dog a rescue dog?
Yeah, I was gonna say dog boxer. I mean,
No. I saw the Dukes. Yeah, you're sensitive until you get in the ring, and then
yeah,
you just want to pummel people.
yeah. It's the 1 year anniversary today since I adopted her and officially became a dog mom. And anyone that knows me knows I'm a big animal person as an empath. So,
well, I'll tell you what, you got your work cut out for me, because Billy, who is upstairs, I think, but 11-and-a-half-year-old boxer, we're in extra innings for sure. He doesn't eat a lot of dog food. He had shrimp, steak. We did burgers. I mean, he's living large.
yeah,
But when it happens, which it's not, it's in the foreseeable. That's going to be a tough day for this guy. I don't it's almost, why do I do this? Why do I get another one? But you got to look back and say, man, I had 11.5 years, or who knows how much longer, but of just joy, and this is how nature takes its place, or its course, but man, just destroys me.
it's hard, but I think it's worth having a dog for sure. And they definitely make empath life a whole lot better, in my opinion. So you got to bring Billy in on the show sometime.
I don't know. He normally sits back there on his bed. He's got his bone there, but he'll probably wander in a little bit. Oh, you know what it is? The grandbabies are upstairs, so their scraps are hitting the floor.
Oh, he's ready.
Oh yeah, he's catching anything that's dropping as they're eating. So that's exactly where he is. So I wanted to talk tonight about forgiveness, self-acceptance. I don't know how to do that, because, and I think other people might feel the same way because of what we did. Now, I don't, this shows about, I know you deal with people that don't have drug and alcohol issues as well, but the bulk of the people that are going to be watching this saying do. I don't know how to forgive myself for what I did. And I hear that a lot. So I know I can get better. I know they talk about in AA, they talk about making amends. And I think that can go across the board for anyone, of making up for stuff. But what I did, I screwed up. And I hurt people, and I disappointed people, and I lied to people. And self-acceptance and self-forgiveness, it's almost, I almost feel like that's a purgatory that I should live in as a punishment, just like someone that goes to jail for an X amount of years and pays their penalty. I don't feel I deserve to be let off the hook for some of the things I did, and I think I'm speaking for others. So how do we justify that?
Yeah. So first, I'll start off with just like a brief overview of Empath Hsp. So if anyone's not familiar watching this, you kind of get an idea. So an empath is someone who feels other people's feelings as your own. It can become very difficult to differentiate what is yours versus what is another's. You really absorb those feelings. You're much more sensitive to things. And then HSPs are highly sensitive people. It's with the highly sensitive person trait. It's an innate biological trait. There's differences in the empathic part of your brain that's more active than other people. And we just basically have to live our lives a little bit differently with the knowledge of that's how we're wired. So when it comes to forgiveness, self-acceptance, I think a huge piece of that is if you are an empath or a highly sensitive person, what often can happen is those moments you're looking back on of where you felt like, wow, I did wrong, or I said something I really regret, or I treated someone in a way I regret, I need to punish myself. We're often feeling the feelings of others along with our own feelings, right? So it's like in that looking back on those scenarios, you're not only feeling your own regret and guilt, but you might think, wow, I felt that person's disappointment. And you might not consciously be aware of it, but you're picking up your feelings and someone else's. So it can really compound and feel very intense. And then especially with like you're an HSP or even as an empath still, but our nervous systems are really affected. So in those moments where you're feeling maybe shame or whatever, like it's going to feel more intense, right? And so it's like when you want to move from this place of I feel, right? Because it's like you're trying to move from I feel unworthy of the forgiveness, I don't deserve the forgiveness, or I have to stay in this place of not moving forward, essentially, in a way, like punishment, like you were saying. It can feel like a huge jump to go from feeling completely unworthy to being like, wow, I'm fully at peace and everything's fine and there's so much forgiveness. Like I think mentally that can feel like this massive jump, and it can feel really daunting. It can feel scary. There's a lot that can come up with that. And then there's also, with I'm sure a lot of past things for many people, there's trauma with it, right? And the trauma gets stored in the body. So you have all these different layers all compounded, and subconsciously we have all kinds of beliefs that are going on in our mind, stuff from childhood. So we kind of have to look at that part of it too, is like from childhood, maybe there was situations where we didn't feel worthy because of our caregivers or because something that was said to us. So there's a lot under the surface. So basically what I'm getting at is subconsciously there's so much firing that we're not aware of, and so much of how we like interact and go about our lives is a huge part of it, over 90% really, is subconsciously. So what we have to do is start to kind of peel back those layers of what's really underneath the surface. Like besides maybe just that scenario, it might seem like it's just a handful of scenarios or one scenario or 2 years worth of scenarios. But what can really be underneath that is kind of a lifetime of scenarios that all kind of had a theme. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm looking as you're talking at my life, my things, and I had an incident. Well, I had an incident with right before I quit drinking. My son was a best man at a wedding, and the bride and groom were having their first dance. Now I know this kid. He's a great kid. Bride and groom were having their dance. I thought it would be funny to cut in, but I cut her out and danced with the kid just to be funny. Well, my son and my family were mortified. And that was a beating I took mentally. And right now, my feelings of it are not what I did. It's what my son felt sitting there watching his dad do this. And I feel like I can't get that back. I made an ass of myself. And I don't know how, and it's almost, to forgive myself for that is, I feel like that would be letting me off the hook or giving me a get out of jail early without paying my sentence. I don't know. I don't know how to. I've said I'm sorry. I think he's thrilled what I'm doing to make up for it, but I don't. I haven't forgiven myself for that.
Mm-hmm.
But let me break. The first thing I wanted before we go is, how do I know if I fit into the category of sensitivity? Because everyone, regardless of how sensitive they are, they're looking at their own meter and thinking, yeah, I'm sensitive. How do we know? I mean, where's the cutoff that you know that if it's something that is a problem that we have to work on?
Do you mean with being sensitive?
Yeah, with being sensitive. How do I know that it's okay? I'm off the chart and I need to work on this.
Yeah, so I think the first thing to acknowledge is like, I know this was kind of we had a topic, is being sensitive is not a bad thing. And there's a difference between challenges with being sensitive, having to live your life differently, having to have an awareness, versus something that is inherently bad about us. Because it's like, if it's who we are, it doesn't make us automatically bad. It doesn't make it a bad thing. So I think that's like the first thing, is trying to look at it from the space of like, yeah, I have challenges, but this isn't something bad about me. This doesn't make me less than, which is like my whole mission, because for so long I felt really less than. I totally felt like there was something wrong with me. I felt like I needed to fix myself. I felt like, because the standard I was holding myself to was what other non-empaths, non-HSPs were at. And that's honestly, like, that's what society kind of tells us, right? It's like, stuff your emotions at work, stuff your emotions in certain relationships or certain situations. So that's kind of what we're taught. And so again, it's like
is it different things then? Because I've got an incident that I want to forgive myself for, versus you just had maybe a self-worth image, not based on an incident that caused it. It was just, is there a difference? Because I've got something concrete that's causing my pain. It was that cutting in at that dance.
Yeah.
And you maybe that I'm not worthy of being in this group. Is that it?
No, I mean, it sounds like from when we've talked, it sounds like you are definitely an empath. I'm not sure if you're an HSP. Like, there's a test that you can do to take that. But I think it's like, at the end of the day, we're all human. Like, that's our common thread. We're all human, and we all have situations that cause, hard times or pain or trauma, or we look back on with major regret. But I think what happens is, as an empath or a sensitive person, it affects us differently. So
can you give me some simple examples of how someone that would be an HSP would react, a scenario, how they would react versus someone that's cold-hearted, like Peggy Cooney, who you met before in our group, that has very, very lack of emotion or compassion or feelings for anyone?
Yeah. So basically, like, an example let's use this example. So some people have a boundary that maybe aren't empaths. It's like, yeah, they're going to feel shitty about, sorry, I don't know if I can.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
That's crappy about themselves and maybe what they did. You may feel crappy about yourself and like what happened and like, wow, I shouldn't have done that. And most people would say, wow, yeah, okay, I kind of feel bad. But what's happening as an empath is like, there's no boundary to say, okay, I know I affected this person and I feel badly, but like, I'm paying attention to my feelings with it. I feel bad, but I'm paying attention to, like, I'm more preoccupied with my own. As an empath, you're feeling yours, but you're feeling your son's or the groom or the bride as your own. So it's like all in one. You're absorbing all of it. And that's why oftentimes, like, you can't stop thinking about it. Because I think for most people, yeah, it bothers them and all that. But like, as an empath, it's like, it's so intense. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like, it's a feeling and you usually know it. And so it's like, it feels so intense because you're feeling the disappointment, you're feeling the agitation, you're feeling it energetically. And then also, as an HSP, one of the pieces of being an HSP is depth of processing. You need a lot of time to process. So like, let's say if your son's an HSP, he might need a lot of time to even process, to even have a conversation with you about it, because he might really need to like get to the bottom of how he's feeling on a deeper level. Does that make sense?
No, it is. It is. I mean, I feel that I'm not looking at my emotions of the thing. I'm looking at the, how my wife felt, how my kid felt,
Yeah.
how other people, those are the emotions that caused me the pain.
Hmm.
It's almost like I'm not worried about my own.
Right.
What's
Yeah.
bothering me is theirs.
And another thing about this is, as an empath, oftentimes because we are feeling other people's emotions as our own, what we want to do is sort of pacify the situation, by like, we want them to be okay with us more than we want to be okay with us, right? Like, you want your son to be like, I completely 100% forgive you, we're all good in that situation, because not having to feel his disappointment anymore is comforting, right? Like, it
Oh
feels
yeah,
safe.
completely.
It creates a feeling of safety. So oftentimes we want that safety, like, sense of safety. It feels unsafe for us, right? Like, it feels uncomfortable, it feels unsafe, because it's like there's so much that we're feeling from someone else, and we want that to all be okay. That's why we people please, because we want them to be happy, so we don't have to keep feeling their emotions with ours, because it's double time. You're feeling yours, you're feeling theirs. So we kind of tell ourselves, well, if they can forgive me, then shoot, whew, I can kind of like take a deep breath and slow down, and then maybe look at myself. So a lot of what I do is teaching of how to create that. And we'll talk about this in my like workshops, or if we work one-on-one, you can go into it with each person of what's true for you, your own specific trauma. But it's learning how to create that safety in your body and validate yourself, and start to say, okay, where is this coming from? Why do I feel so pulled to that? And yeah, on the surface, it's like, in a situation like that, anyone's going to feel bad. Anyone's going to feel for empaths are going to feel for the other person. It's going to be intense. It's going to be a lot. But there's so much under the surface of what that means. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, but I know I'm asking very juvenile questions about it, but it's still, we're talking self acceptance and self love.
Hmm.
All I'm looking for is their acceptance and their love. So I'm not doing anything self wise, am I?
Well, why are you looking for their for their acceptance?
Well, that'll give me, then I can put it to bed, and I can sleep at night if I know that they're, hey, everything's fine. Don't, we're good with it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's acceptance, but I'm still not seeing any self love at that point,
Yeah.
because
So
I'm focusing on an incident.
yeah. So I mean, this one's kind of hard, because it's like, with these like exact examples, I would have to ask you specific questions, and we would have to go into like deeper stuff
I
under.
got you. No, that's fine. We don't have to go there, but I'm trying to get because I know that I'm not alone. People have. We were talking on the website, or on the thing today, about things you regret doing, and it just lit up with people about that look from, or when, my kid said, Dad, we talked about that last night, or Mom, we talked about, there's a lot of scenarios that people are holding a ton of guilt of how they acted. And I think my son is completely, Dad, we've already talked about it. It's done and over.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's given me forgiveness. I don't think I've given myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I don't know how I forgive myself for something um that I it was wrong to do. It was a bad thing to do. I don't know how I say, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
It's a painful memory.
Yeah. I mean, well, again, it's like, it's not about just all of a sudden like waking up and being like, I forgive myself, because it's like,
Right, right.
that's just not realistic. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions in the whole self-help, or like self-growth industry, or coaching, or therapy, that you're going to talk about it a few times and wake up and it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. But we all know that that's not life. And really what a lot of this is, in this self-acceptance and forgiveness, is all of these small moments and these small tools sort of compounded together, added together, to make up something greater. So maybe for you, it's like asking yourself, okay, well, what would it feel like just starting with small questions of what would it feel like to forgive myself? Like, it's like, can I even think about what that would feel like? Like, who would I be without the thought that this person doesn't forgive me? It's
Right.
catching yourself even in those moments, even in this, and saying, okay, well, I'm telling myself, well, my son said he's forgiven me, but why can't I? And starting to kind of, again, like peel back those layers. So it's in the small moments, and there's more like bite-sized pieces to it, but a big part of it is understanding like what your patterns are too as a person, of like, what's a trigger for you, like, and how that plays into it. So when it comes to like self-love and the forgiveness, they do go hand in hand. And again, it's like often we're looking for others to create that feeling in ourselves, but we have to like look at, well, what's stopping me? Like, what's in me that's not allowing me to get there? And there's questions to ask, and there's ways to go about it, which I don't want to like ask you here. And
Yeah, no. I was young and I needed the money. That's all I can say for that question. No, I have no idea what you're going to say, but the yeah, the I guess the steps. What are the techniques then? If obviously you have questions, but how does someone get? I mean, what do you do? I know that I've heard you mention the words hypnosis.
Yeah.
As treatments, and there's a bunch of different options. What are the options? How do they work? And I mean, what do they do for us? Because I'm hypnosis to me, I'm not going to run around thinking I'm a chicken. I don't. That's the sideshow thing. So I know there's a different kind.
Yeah.
But is hypnosis more how does that work to address these kind of issues, or what are the other options for addressing this?
Yeah. So I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. Clinical hypnosis is different than stage hypnosis. So what you might have seen at your county fair where, yeah, like someone's running around like a chicken, that is not it at all. It's very, very, very different. So clinical hypnosis, it essentially feels like a guided meditation. And what happens is it sort of suspends your conscious thoughts or your like those beliefs that are kind of popping up, saying, when you're saying, okay, I want to forgive myself, or how do I get there? There's a belief in you that's saying you don't deserve it, right? So it's popping up and it's sort of like
Right.
blocking that thing. So hypnosis allows, me or the practitioner to get past something called the critical faculty. So it's that part getting to your subconscious mind, which is more open, and it's able to say the things that, you want to feel. So it's like maybe painting the picture of you feeling completely forgiven or forgiving yourself, feeling whole, feeling good about whatever it is. So it's like, it's getting past the piece that's sort of throwing up the roadblocks of, well, that doesn't match with my beliefs. Because what's happening is we get stuck when the thing we want doesn't match with our core beliefs, like this example. And so, yeah, so hypnosis is allowing your body to get into a relaxed state. It changes your brainwave state a little bit. So again, deep relaxation allows your body to calm, and then your body is physically responding to your thoughts. So not only is your brain creating a new neural pathway of, okay, it's being open to, well, maybe I can forgive myself, right? It's moving from, instead of like, I just can't do it, to, well, maybe it's possible and maybe it could feel like this. And so it's creating that so that when you're out of hypnosis, it kind of starts to move into that more easily. So it becomes more open to that suggestion. And then your body is going to respond physiologically, and it's going to feel calmer. It's going to feel more at ease. It's going to feel less constriction when it comes to like thinking about forgiveness at all. Because I know for some people, it can feel very like fight or flight, which hypnosis moves you from fight or flight with parasympathetic into sympathetic, into that restful state. So I know it's kind of a lot I just threw, but essentially it's helping your mind to create something new, helping your body to rest and relax so that you're not feeling that anxiety. Because I know, again, for a lot of people that can bring up anxiety just at the thought of it, right? So that's a big one.
I mean, I can get that. I can think about it and get that knot in my stomach,
right.
Where it just makes me sick, that
Yeah.
looking back. And but what I don't understand is I can't envision how I would be when I've forgiven myself or gone through this.
Mm-hmm.
I know this isn't the case, but am I walking out of your office whistling, da 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 da, life is great, and I love that what I did? That's not the thing. So I'm struggling to understand how I would even feel to forgive myself for some of the things that we've done. And that's minor compared to a lot of, issues that people have with themselves.
No, I mean, I think you'd be surprised. But yeah, I think like what tends to happen is we get into this state of being so we try to over like logic things, right? Like we overthink it. We think about it too much. Like even the fact that you're like, I can't even think of what that would be like. That's why a big part of this is getting ourselves to like relax and get out of that constriction and trust our subconscious minds. Because a lot of times it's like we start to think something and then automatically we're like, no, no, because it's like our body, our mind has been trained over the years of protecting ourselves. That was something else like I want to talk about is like we each have some people call them, some practitioners call them protectors, some people call them parts. But we have these little parts inside of us that pop up thinking they're protecting us. Like there's a part inside of you, I can tell you right now, that's trying to protect you by saying, no, 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 we can't do that. No, 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 we can't go there. Because your mind and your body has trained itself to say, when things get scary, if there's anxious, it's anxious words. When I'm filled with anxiety
Mm-hmm.
and it feels threatening to my system, I'm going to avoid, I'm going to retract, I'm going to ignore whatever that is. It thinks it's protecting you. So it's like we have to find this balance of making peace with that. Like instead of just saying, oh, well, I can't even envision it, so something must be wrong, I need to fix it. It's like, well, what if we just gave some acceptance and love to that piece trying to protect you right now? Like you can start there by saying, well, okay, I'm going to honor that piece that's trying to protect me, that thinks that, okay, all this time I haven't been worthy of forgiveness. I don't even know what that looks like. And literally ask yourself, okay, well, how can I just sit with this and just say, okay, thank you for trying to protect me?
That's interesting. I mean, that makes sense because I look at it as a foe versus a friend. And
Yeah.
when you were talking, I my whole life I have run from seriousness.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I jump to making a joke, you know, lighthearted conversation. I'm always there, but my wife has always said, and I'm getting better at this, but when there was anything serious, I went into defense mode. It was
Mm-hmm.
I hated it. I couldn't stand talking. Um, if finances were bad, to bring up that was just I wanted to joke and make it go away, and then I probably drank it away as well. But I couldn't. My system was protecting me from having to face whatever it is, and I don't know why that is. But my wife will love to tackle a serious problem and get in there and analyze it,
Mm-hmm.
and it just causes me so much discomfort that it's I got to get out of here. I can't take this. It's driving me. I'm going crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know earlier you asked like where does the self-love part come in? And it's there. It's saying this isn't what I want to feel and I think I need to fix this thing, but how can I bring love and acceptance to this right here in this moment? It's like how can I try to start to make peace with the discomfort? And I'm asking this question because a fact about your subconscious mind is it actually wants to serve you. Like it wants to be a servant to you. That's why if you say, oh, I can't forget to pick up dry cleaning at 4, say it to yourself, you'll remember it to pick up the dry cleaning at 4.
Mm-hmm.
So you can task your subconscious mind, you can ask it those questions and just see what comes through. And it doesn't have to be this like pressure filled thing of, I don't know why I feel this way, I don't know how to do this. It's like, well, how can I just honor this? How can I just sit with this? And it's like, if that's the most comfortable space right now of just saying, I really don't know. Okay. Well,
Can I train my subconscious mind
Mhm.
to respond differently to things? I mean, is
Yeah.
it me, or is it a separate entity that's protecting me? How do I address it? I don't know. I almost hear like it's a separate deal that's guarding the gate, keeping out stuff that I don't want to let in. And how do I say it's okay?
Yeah. So it's your
Let
mind.
it in.
I always say the foundation to any form of growth at any degree is awareness. So if you can literally just start to catch yourself, just catch, some people call it catching a thought, like just catch yourself in even saying, okay, well, for example, this example, right? Like, I felt crappy about that. Okay. Okay. How can I honor my feelings right now? And just noticing that and really just learning how to sit in it. And like, again, a lot of what I do is learning how to be comfortable in our feelings, because we're often wanting to run from them. And I know you said like there's a lot of avoidance patterning. So with that avoidance, it's like the fact that you know that about yourself, that's awareness, right? So each time, or when you say, God, I don't deserve forgiveness, just literally just start catching yourself in that. You don't have to. I had a coach that used to say, don't shine a flashlight in it. You don't have to investigate. You don't have to shine this flashlight and be, what does this mean? You can literally just go, that's an interesting thought. Okay. That's an interesting thought coming from a part of me that's maybe trying to protect me or doesn't think I'm worthy, but like, how can I sit with this and just acknowledge it? Because a lot of times these parts of us, what happens, and even I know some people might be familiar with inner child work, but there's these pieces of us in our subconscious that just want to be acknowledged, right? Like if you start to look at that protector as, again, not a foe, but a friend, something just to acknowledge and say, okay, that's interesting. You're not very helpful, but that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And I know it's like this little piece, like I get you're trying to protect me. Okay. Like, thank you for trying to protect me, and remind yourself, like, I'm okay. I'm safe, or whatever that is. Like, so you can have affirmation. So yeah, you can totally rewire your subconscious. And that's like another one of my missions, is for people to understand, like, you're not stuck where you are. I think that's the biggest thing, is like, we look at ourselves, and I should say hypnosis and NLP, a lot of the stuff I'm certified in, is changing on an identity level, right? Because for so long, your identity is that I'm unworthy. Your identity is that I'm this person that does XYZ, right? And what happens is we move through life, whether that was childhood, whether that was 5 years ago, whether that was 6 days ago, if that's our identity, and now we are still operating in this space of an old identity, an old version of us, what happens is we're holding ourselves to those same feelings and that same worthiness. So it's like, how can you start to look at yourself as a different version that, yeah, maybe needs to make, amends with those pieces of you, maybe needs to forgive, but you're not that old person, and you can rewire your brain to choose new thoughts. Because I know this sounds crazy. I thought this was wild when I first heard it, but you get to choose your thoughts. So when we add in all these different practices, like being aware of your thoughts, right? Asking yourself a question, like maybe you think, oh, I'm not worthy of this person's forgiveness. Maybe just ask yourself, what would I rather think? In a perfect world, in an ideal world, what would I rather believe? Because often you would rather believe you are worthy of forgiveness. Maybe you don't believe it now, but you'd rather believe that.
See, I love that, because my focus was just I'm not worthy, and all I was focused on was the negative. I never gave. I know I don't give myself an opportunity to look outside that and say, what if I was worthy, or what if I was? My focus is just on the crap and the negative.
Yeah. There's also another well-known coach. She likes to ask the question. I love this. It's, who would I be without that thought? Who would I be without the thought that I'm unworthy? I don't deserve forgiveness. Who would I be without that thought? You'd be just your son's dad, right?
Right.
You'd be just a guy living life. It's like, who would I be without the thought that I was even once had issues with alcohol? I'd be just a person living life. And so it's like this is what I'm talking about. It's these small incremental things of just asking yourself questions, becoming aware, supporting your nervous, like taking 5 minutes to really breathe and give yourself a break and just be like, this thought feels heavy. I'm going to set it down right now, and I'm just going to breathe. I'm not going to shine a flashlight. I'm not going to try to make sense of it. I'm just going to breathe. And it's all these small things that add up to reminding yourself that I'm worthy of this time. I'm worthy of myself asking this question. And it's unconscious, right? Like, you don't think, oh, now I'm all worthy of this question, but it builds self-esteem by taking that time for yourself, by showing up for yourself in teeny tiny ways that you don't realize you're doing. And over time, your brain is choosing, again, like with hypnosis, it's choosing a new neural pathway, right? And even a small affirmation like I'm safe, or I can feel this feeling, or I'm allowed to feel this way. It's telling your subconscious mind those things, and it starts to choose that, and it becomes easier and easier and easier over time. And I can tell you, I felt like shit about myself for years. Like I thought I was unattractive, unworthy, unlovable, too sensitive, all these things. I literally had a period of time in my life where I can honestly say I did not like myself at all on so many different levels. And if you would have asked me then if I would feel the way I do now, I would tell you, yeah, right. Like I would be shook. And it just takes these small things over time, committing to yourself in small ways. Like it's not, this giant 180. It's these small things that really add up over time. And it is the greatest feeling, and it is possible for anyone. There's a lot under the surface that we have to bring up, that we have to honor, right? Like it's about honoring where we are now. It's about honoring where we were in the past, and asking ourselves these questions, showing ourselves this love. So I know I kind of went on a tangent there.
No, you're no, I love it. I think two things. First, I've buried stuff, the emotions, and when they start to come up, I used to drink them away, but now I change the subject or whatever. There are certain things that, and even when you're talking, oh God, what about that? What about that? Things that just make me sick to my stomach that I've never addressed. So they're in here, wherever it is, they're in there buried. And I keep, even now without alcohol, I'm not letting them out to process them.
Yeah.
I'm not facing them because I'm afraid of them. I hate them. They hurt. They don't feel good. They ruin my day to think about them. They put me in a bad mood. So I try to just bury them down.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like we all have stuff inside of us that needs to be released. And so the way I kind of feel about it is it's like when those things come up, like or those thoughts or whatever, the more we can acknowledge them and have this allowance of them being there. Again, it's not necessarily like, because I think a lot of times it's not necessarily the feeling we're afraid of, it's what we think will happen after. It's not just like, oh, I'm, don't want to feel this feeling. It's like we think, well, that's going to be this giant monumental thing that's like all these feelings are going to come up, and I'm going to feel like shit, and I'm going to be sitting in it and just marinating in it, and I'm going to feel terrible tomorrow. But really it's like, well, what if you just crack the door open a little bit to that feeling? What if you just say, okay, a little bit of you can come in, and then when I'm uncomfortable, I can kind of like breathe and I can kind of stop. It's these small things.
So, being a guy that that solutions came in a case of aluminum cans, I want it fixed. I either want a pill or I want it in a shot glass. What are the steps? Someone like me or someone that's watching that is turning their life around. We're in the, most people watching, we're in the boat of sobriety, but we still have the baggage and feel crap about what we were, what we did, or how we were, or whatever. It's not going to be a magic pill. So someone like that knocks on your door and says, Rachel, I want to fix this. I want to feel better. What are the process?
Yeah. So that's a good question. It's a big one. Everyone is very different, right? Like some people resonate with therapy. Some people resonate with coaching. Some people, they think like, again, like suppressing it is an easier thing, of whatever way that is. And I think you have to ask yourself, one is like, what do you feel pulled to? Because I think we all have like intuition. So it's like, there's certain things that are going to bring you more peace, more joy. I would say number one, like pay attention to the things that bring you joy and bring you peace in your life. Maybe that's going fishing. Maybe that's a walk outside with your dog. Maybe that's sitting in the backyard by a fire pit, like whatever that is, pay attention to that. Do more of those things that are going to support your nervous system as a sensitive person. I would say that's the number one thing you can do on your own without paying anyone anything. when it comes to working together, I mean, in my opinion, I've gotten a lot out of coaching myself. That's obviously why I do it. And I think we have to rewire ourselves again on an identity level in our subconscious mind. And we have to honor the energetics of it, because we have to move what is in our body, like all the trauma or things that are stored in there. Like you said, there's a knot in your stomach. Okay, well, there's ways to address that energy and like get in touch with that and like start to honor that until it sort of dissipates and it feels lighter. And I know for some people that sounds a little out there, but it's a real thing. So yeah, I have different ways of working with me. I don't know if you want me to like go into that.
Yeah, but no. I mean, I don't have a source for it. And so what, tell me what you do. I mean, you're the expert. So this is what you do for a living. So I want to know what are my options, because I see you smiling, and I sit here and walk around going, I'd like to have that same smile on my face at times.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. So I guess with the way I coach, it's blending together again, like the subconscious mind, the psychology and physiology of being a sensitive soul, how that impacts us. And then blending together other like techniques with energy healing. So I have my hypnosis sessions. So again, you are in complete 100% control. If you've listened to a meditation, that is literally what it is like. You just relax, you feel calm, you feel centered, you're giving your nervous system a break, while we are able to kind of reroute your neural pathways to choose thoughts that like serve you better, right? So that's with hypnosis. So I have 60-minute sessions where essentially how that works is you come in, we start talking about, what hypnosis isn't, and then we go over whatever you're wanting help with, and then really painting a picture of what that would look like. So in the hypnosis, I'm saying that, speaking to your subconscious mind, and it's from your words. So it helps you to create that new neural pathway. It's been shown to be even more effective than talk therapy, because it's allowing your mind to sort of rewire. So it works a lot faster. Every person's different on how fast it does work. So I'm a huge fan of hypnosis because, again, it's getting you to relax. It relieves stress, relieves anxiety scientifically, and then is allowing those new thoughts so that it becomes easier, and it's less like willpower of trying to believe I am worthy or I can forgive myself. And it's more like your subconscious mind is kind of doing it, starting to do it for you. So that's hypnosis. I also have 90-minute sessions with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, also working with the subconscious mind. I blend techniques together, but that's what is
NLP?
Yeah. So it's a way of like speaking to your subconscious mind, or there's different tools and modalities within that, but it's like these different like mindset tools basically, or ways that I would ask questions to get to the answer of something. My sessions, I try to come from a place that's very trauma sensitive to being a deep feeler as an empath or HSP. And it's sort of giving you time and space to move through whatever's present for you. We also do energetic work. So like, for example, if you came to me with this exact scenario we were talking about, I'd be able to ask you questions, kind of understand what's under the surface. And it's not, I should also clarify, it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just pegging you with questions. It's like, let's be very gentle, kind, loving, compassionate with ourselves as we move through this thing, and talk about, again, like the parts protectors. So it's asking those questions, and then I would blend in other modalities I use within a session like that. But it's like helps you to leave feeling lighter, feeling more capable, feeling more empowered, feeling like you're really moving through that thing, and you've kind of like healed it and left it in the past, sort of thing, or you've set it down, or you've started to move through that. So I have those sessions. And then you can also work one-on-one with me, which is a longer container, weekly calls, and then messaging access. So you could say, hey, this thing is coming up. What do you suggest? Or how can I move through this? Or I'm having these super uncomfortable feelings. I don't know what to do. And it's nice because it's like, then we can talk through it and move through it as things come up. So
you're in California. I'm in Ohio. How is that? Can we do it virtually?
Yep. I do all my work virtually.
Okay.
So I do it all via Zoom, and then messaging access is in an app. So yeah, so everything I do live is via Zoom. My workshops, my group programs, those are all via Zoom as well, because I personally like to be able to work with whoever I'm meant to work with in the world, wherever they are. So yeah, those are different ways to work with me. I do have a workshop coming up, and I have another offer coming up. I'm going to have a group program. I haven't really announced it, so you guys are the first to know. I have a group program coming and a workshop. So we'll be delving deeper into the forgiveness, self-help or self-love, self-acceptance, and really like actively doing things, in those workshops or in the group program to move through any emotions that are coming up to help you get to a place of deeper self-love, deeper self-acceptance. So we'll delve, a lot deeper into all of this, and give you like more of those tools of how to do it, or step into this on your own.
Are these, you know what? I have your, I've got your email. I put that up, Rachel. Is that correct?
Look at that. Wow. What a
oh, that's professional. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the extent of my professionalism, but
I don't even know how to do that. That's pretty cool.
it's the StreamYard versus Zoom. It gives you a couple other things, but so a workshop is a one-time deal. Do I get the tools that I can use on my own, or are the sessions? What is a typical run? Is it a lifestyle change that I'm doing, or is it a one and done type thing?
Yeah. So my thing is like, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So I give information, education, tools, because my thing is like, and as a coach, it's not about making like a codependent relationship where you feel like you need someone to get somewhere, but it's about giving you the tools so that you can move through something and you can do it on your own. And so that each day there's little things you can do, little ways to start, again, to like rewire your mind and to have these habits and practices that support you best. And some people hate journaling. Some people hate meditating. Some people love it. So it's about finding what works for you. But basically, it's like I'm going through the information like I did here, talking about different ways to look at things, talking about the subconscious mind. So I give information. And then in my workshops, we usually will go through some form of like interactive thing, like a journal prompt, but you don't have to share. It's like we just take time for you to write it for yourself so you can let it come from your subconscious mind and see what's coming out. And it's very interesting. And then in the workshop, we'll end with a hypnosis. So that kind of blends it all together. One time group, you don't have to share. It's not something where you're having to like tell me all your stuff. It's kind of like for you to do. And then there's tools to walk away with. And then in the group program, obviously there's going to be more to that, more access to me asking questions, having that time for a little bit of like one-on-one if you desire it. So yeah, my thing is about helping you in the moment, but also, or like in a call, but also giving you the tools to work on it throughout the week. Because at the end of the day, like a coach isn't necessarily like that magic pill, right? It's not like, you have a session and all of a sudden your whole life is turned upside down. It's all about like what each person puts into it. It's like how you commit to your growth, which I think everyone here obviously is committed to themselves and their growth, which is just amazing. And like that in and of itself is something to celebrate. But yeah,
I look at this type of stuff. Same thing with my sobriety. And actually Saturday morning I've got a person on, a gal that does a running for sobriety group. I've still got to learn about it, but that's going to be fun. But my point is, someone that's like training, getting ready to run a marathon is not something. It's not a go one time to the gym or one time to the track and you're ready to run a marathon.
Exactly.
It's a building, and it's improvement each day and a little bit more until you get to the point. And I so many things like with the self hypnosis, I've seen the walk out of the office one visit and you're a complete different person. And I know that's not the case. I can't go to the track and become a marathoner one time. It takes a lot of time, but when I get to that level, I still have to maintain it. And I think these are the tools you're talking about. If I want to stay in shape, it's not that I get there and then stop and I'm fixed. A marathoner has to continue to run to stay in that shape. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about as far as the tools that are going to help me with life. But the other one to bring up, I want to ask you, was visualization, because you know, when you said where would I be without that thought?
Mm-hmm.
And how important is the visualization? Because I see what I would like Jeff to look like. I see Jeff walking in. I see how I would like to see myself walking into a room, the confidence, the whatever. I'm not there, but at least if I can see it, I get an idea of what areas can I work on to get closer to that. And I don't know if visualization is a part of what you do.
Yeah. So that's kind of basically what I mean, similar with hypnosis, or like a part of hypnosis is, and that's why like it can work in groups because I'm painting a picture, or it can work one-on-one because it's a very, very specific picture to your exact needs or wants or whatever those things are. But yeah, visualization I think is huge, because what happens is it creates embodiment of those emotions. So if you're wanting to, because in your daily life, you're wanting to embody maybe feelings of peace, maybe you're wanting to embody feelings of confidence, that when you spend time with a certain person that you don't have, that you're not in your head, right? Like you just feel ease, or whatever that thing is that you're trying to create. And so the more you can visualize it, like it is kind of a form of self hypnosis, because it's like the more you're visualizing it, the more you're creating it in your body. Because again, your body responds like biomechanically to your thoughts. So if you're having those thoughts of ease and peace, your body will literally respond. It's like when you think of your favorite restaurant and your favorite meal there, your mouth might start to water. You're like, oh God, like I'm craving that now. Like I really want to go there, because your body is literally responding to your brain's thoughts. So it's huge. Like even in the morning, if you can wake up and go, okay, like in a perfect world, how would I want to feel today? Or in that scenario, like, I mean, that's why a lot of people do hypnosis for childbirth, because it's like, it's visualizing how you want it to go, what you want it to feel, to ease that anxiety, right? The ease that knot in your stomach, to ease all those different things. So by visualizing it, it's creating the feelings in your body. And the more you do it, the easier it is and the more natural it becomes.
When I was playing football, one of the things was visualizing, if you were a receiver,
Yeah.
see yourself catching the ball, see yourself making the run. For me
Yep.
as an offensive lineman, see yourself, and it's almost so that when you get there, your mind says, "Oh, I've done this before. I already know this." You know, when the ball comes, oh, you do this. It's old hat for me, even though it might be the first time, because you've seen the process. Or driving a golf ball, they say picture yourself hitting it and the ball going straight, unlike how I hit it. And when you get it to the tee, you almost feel like, well, I've done this 100 times already.
Yep. Yeah. I played water polo, and my coach in college, he had us always doing that for like, making a goal or making a play. And that was the first time I really got into visualization, and it really does make a difference. So I'm all about it. And yeah, it's an easy way for you to do it for yourself. And it's like, again, it's like, it's small things. It's like, just dabble in it. Just see like, okay, like, I don't know what that would even, you said, I don't even know what that would feel like to forgive myself. Well, try to just visualize it. Like take the pressure off, just be like, well, can I just try? Can I just try to visualize it? There's no pressure there. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here trying to visualize. So yeah, definitely big into visualization. That's a huge one. I do that even in just meditations, even if it's not hypnosis. But
And
yeah.
is self-acceptance all part of this, where I
Mhm.
just am saying, yeah, I screwed up at that wedding, but it's okay. No one got hurt. Life goes on. Lesson learned.
So another big thing is like, we can't bypass our emotions. So that's a big piece of this, is like, I think that's where a lot of us get stuck, right? Is it's like we're trying to kind of bypass it. We're kind of trying to just be like, yeah, I messed up. Like, I feel crappy. Life goes on, whatever. But really, that's bypassing all those feelings inside of you that are like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever. Again, those protectors, it's bypassing those feelings. So we have to learn how to honor those feelings, sit with them, find safety in them, so that you can move forward. And it's like, until we can feel safe feeling our own feelings, it can be really hard to move on.
Well, I'm never gonna, certain things that have happened. Um, I don't know, a tragedy that someone inflicted or something bad that happened, you're not going to forget those things. And I think that's the misnomer is people think I want to learn to do this so that I can erase it from my system. Well, you're not going to erase it from your system. That is, I think it's more how you're going to learn to deal with it and walk with it, because it's still going to be with you the whole time. I'm never going to forget what I did at that wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I have to process it and not let it be the burden that it is, and just let it be. Yeah, it's there. Whatever, it happened.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's my goal.
100%. Yeah, I think it's a great goal too, and yeah, it's like I know might sound kind of out there for some people, but it's a lot of it is energetics. It's what's stored in your body and those feelings coming up, those things that are constricting and that are like, oh God, oh man, that's a lot. And some of what I do too with the energy healing is it's not only sitting with that feeling, but it's breathing through it. It's allowing it to dissipate. And I've gone through it myself, and it's wild because it literally feels like those feelings are dissipating, and it feels lighter. And then you think of it less because it's not so overwhelming to your system when it comes into your mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, that's what I want to do with it. That's my goal. So just in closing, what brought you here? How did you find all this and get that smile?
Getting through a lot of shit, trust me. Yeah. So, I mean, again, like I felt really misunderstood as a kid, and I went through a lot of loss. That was really hard for me. And I just thought like, there's something wrong with me. Why are things impacting me so much more than someone else? Why do they seem kind of okay? They're moving on. And I literally feel like I've been hit by a truck emotionally. There's a lot of those moments I didn't understand myself, and I went through a deep depression. I had, like body image issues, disordered eating, things like that, and went through anxiety, panic attacks, and
Bingo.
Finally,
Bingo, panic attacks. I got destroyed by them.
Oh, yeah. I remember there was a time I worked a job where I wasn't paid for sick days, and I had to miss days because I couldn't function. I mean, it was terrible. So yeah, I was crying constantly and didn't like myself, again, deeply depressed. And I just hit this point where I was just like, I cannot live life crying constantly, feeling like crap, not wanting to be around anyone, wanting to just like hermit myself and just sit in the shit. Like sometimes I would just listen to sad music just to be more sad. Like it was just this.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Hole. Yeah. So I hit a point and I just said, I need to do something. And I, went to a psychologist, and she said, said you're deeply depressed, panic disorder, all this stuff. And I was actually really ashamed. I didn't tell anyone for 6 months. I didn't tell my family member anything, and started therapy. And that's when I kind of started moving into more self-forgiveness and more understanding of myself and my brain, and identifying anxiety. And I remember something my first therapist said to me, because I would get so mad at my anxiety and my depression. I was like, I don't understand. What is that? This sucks. And she said, but it's trying to protect you. And that was long before I did coaching and learned about protectors and stuff. But that was a really interesting thing to kind of bring a life to my anxiety in terms of like, it really is just a piece of me that thinks it's protecting me. So anyways, that was a big one for me. And then I, worked in jobs.
Were you able to tell it to back off and you're okay?
Actually, yeah. So I started labeling it, and I started just saying, when it would come up, I would say, oh, it's just anxiety. Like, I'm okay. Like I felt like it was like a dog barking at the mailman. It's like, it's not a real threat. You think it's a threat. It's not a real threat. Like, we're good, So the more I told myself that, which I didn't know at the time, I was telling myself, my subconscious mind, I am safe, I'm okay. And when I said that, my body would respond, and my body would move from the fight or flight and relax. And that,
see, I still, and this is something I'd love to talk with you further about, because I still, with that, when the anxiety hit, it was like, oh, but this one's a lot worse than what, the normal ones. this is the big one. This one's taking me down. So
Yeah.
it was always this one, I know it's not going to hurt me, but this one is different.
Mm.
And those were the ones that were just for me, because I'm going to drop like a rock here.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, if I know firsthand, it feels very real. It really feels like this is it. But yeah, so I started moving through that and kind of got even deeper into my own inner journey. I'm very spiritual. That was really helpful for me. And kind of leaning into this notion that like I'm being guided. Like I'm not alone. I'm being guided. And that was a huge one for me too with my depression, was like, I'm not alone. And I felt very alone. And I kept telling myself I'm not alone, or I'm guided, I'm supported. These things feeding again, I didn't know at the time I was doing this really, but I was feeding my subconscious mind. And yeah, ultimately I, didn't exactly know where I was going, and then kind of realized like coaching was for me. That's kind of a longer story, but yeah, and then delved into a certification program that was trauma and about trauma and all these different modalities I've talked about, NLP and hypnosis and life and success coaching, all the things. And I had to go through a lot of my own stuff, my own dark times. There's like a lot of pieces to the puzzle.
But I want to work with someone that knows, that gets it. And that's what is appealing to working with you, because doctors that didn't get panic, that told me about anxiety, well, just do this. And I said, well, how do you handle it? Well, I don't know. I've never felt it, but it's like, well, then what are you telling? You have no idea what I'm going through.
Right. Yeah. I've had a hard time with that as well, because I have had people that they don't understand it. I mean, the first therapist I ever saw, I did a live on my Instagram about this. The first therapist I ever saw literally said to me, you can't see it. So how do we even know it's real? How do we even know you have it? And I was like, trust me, it's real. It's feeling real. It is damn real. But yeah, I think that that's something I hear pretty regularly from clients is like, I tend to hear they feel like safer with me. I think because I do feel things so deeply, and I have had those experiences of like being deep in it, that I think they feel more like, yeah, safer, comforted talking to me. Something I've heard a lot from clients is like, I finally feel like I can feel my feelings, instead of running from them. That's like a pretty big one. But yeah, like people have said, it's like an old friend or something, which is really nice. But I think I just try to approach coaching as like, there's no like hierarchy. It's like, I'm not above anyone else. It's not like I know all these things and someone else doesn't. It's like, we all have those answers inside of us. And like, that's an important thing to remember. Like, you have answers that are true for you to all your questions or your challenges that will only be true. Like, they're your personal answers. Like, with it all resides inside of you, just like, these different versions of you. It's like the version of you now still existed back in the day. It was just deep in there that you had to do all this work to pull out. So with coaching, it's asking you the questions, it's giving you that support, it's reminding you that you're not alone and that you have someone walking beside you through it. And to me, that's always been really comforting working with coaches, is like, I know that this person's walking beside me. There's no judgment, right? Like I like to say, there's no good, there's no bad. Like there just is. We just all are walking. We're walking our own journey with this. And it's just, yeah, I think that part's like very interesting. And I actually was in a relationship where I was in a relationship with someone who had PTSD, and they, had a drinking problem, and I was kind of on the receiving end of some of the things. So that's also, I think, an interesting dynamic in ways that, it's like we all have our things, it's like, I don't even look back at that on the receiving end. Like, I don't look back at that person saying you're a bad person. I look at it as he had his own things and his own demons or his own things he had to move through. And like, he's just a person, because at the end of the day, like, we're all just humans having a human experience, getting through things. And I think showing up for ourselves, and even anyone watching this or you and I talking, it's a huge testament to like where you want to be in the future. It's like, I'm showing up for myself. I'm listening to something that might help me grow, or I'm having a conversation that can that can create good things in my life to some degree. So,
well, I'm never going to get in shape if I just sit on the couch and watch TV. I've got to do some things to get it. And same thing, dealing with whatever it is. It's not just sitting here hoping it goes away. And I've tried that. It doesn't work.
Yeah. And I mean, as a son, I know some people like saying empath, HSP, sensitive soul, but as, deep feeling people, like we just experience life differently. And that's why I weave that into all of my coaching, because it's like, we don't really give ourselves enough credit sometimes. We think, oh, well, I just need to get over it. It's like, but we're being affected differently. So we have to take that into account. We have to honor that, we have to honor all of the pieces of us, not just the ones we like,
Yeah.
Got to honor all of it.
So we're over, but how do I find about the workshops? Your email's down there. Is there, do you have a website or anything that I can?
So you can find me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way, at Rachel Brearly Coach.
All right. CHELBREARLY.
LEY.
LEY?
Yeah. And then Coach.
Okay. All right. So I will put that on the website. Rachel Brearly Coach.
And then my link is in my bio in my Instagram. And then you can see like all of my different offers. Also, please feel free to shoot me a DM, say hello, or if you're interested in working together, you're not sure what would be right for you or whatever, like, please, reach out. My door is open. We're all friends here.
If that email yet below works to send you something as well.
Yep. Yeah. You can email me as well. You can also, I have an email list. I have a Facebook community. So whatever kind of you resonate with, there's different access points to work together. But yeah. And then the workshop will be coming. I haven't announced a date yet, but that'll be within the month probably. And then a program after that. But if you want to work one-on-one, there's also ways to do that, for more like personalized coaching and whatnot.
So if I come and spill my guts, you're not going to laugh when I tell you some of the stories?
We're all humans having a human experience. So I'm here for all the things, for that support and that compassion. Cause you know what, like, it's okay. I think sometimes too, to admit, like, sometimes life really just is hard, and this stuff, it's not always easy. And I think there's sometimes a misconception of some people, oh, they just got through it. And it's not always easy. And that's okay. Like, it's okay. Like we get to have this experience and give ourselves love through it. So
Billy, come here, Billy.
Yeah. Let's see
Billy. Come here. Come on, bud. The old man. I have to kind of, I help him up the steps and tell him, you got it. You got it. Come here, buddy. He's,
Hi, bud. He's so cute.
He's an old man. He's gray like his daddy, but he's still getting there. We're hanging in there. But that's good. That's going to be a tough day with him.
Well, we've
had a lot of fun together. So, all right. Well, Rachel, hang on there. But thank you so much, and I will have all of the links. And I'm sure I butchered the Instagram, but I will put that up on the page as well. The pages, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you everybody for watching and connecting. Appreciate you.
It's all about growth opportunities and finding paths that can go forward. I love it. So thanks so much. All right, everyone. We'll see you Saturday morning. Take care. See ya.